Coach, what are your early impressions from Baylor, Alabama?
Obviously it's been great to come back to the SEC and be closer to home. A lot of relationships that I've had from my playing days. My dad being a high school football coach in Georgia. Really proud to be here and be a part of this organization and this team.
This coaching staff kind of draws coaches from all across the country. How much does it help to have that SEC experience and that experience in Georgia?
Just starting day one recruiting, being able to go into places that I've been, have pre-existing relationships. I think that's the number one thing to start, just day one. And then two, just to be able to be in this footprint, the type of players that you can recruit here, and what you can sell to those families and those players of what Alabama is and what it's going to continue to be.
Coach, what's the message being preached in that outside linebacker room right now?
Day one I walked in and all over the walls are some of the great players that have been here. And there's been some great players the past 3 years that I've recruited and I know well. Dallas and I know Will. And so that was the standard, telling them that the expectation is to live up to that. And obviously with Dallas going to the NFL, there's going to be room for guys to step up. That's the number one message is we plan to continue to carry that torch. And so motivating them, challenging them pushing each other. One thing about this group is that they do coach each other. And that was exciting to see from day one.
Speaking of guys stepping up, Coach, you look at Quandarius Robertson and Keanu Code. How have they been in that room as guys, as leaders, trying to get everybody else to step up around them?
Yeah, those are two guys that I had actually recruited while I was at the University of Florida. And to come in day one, we already had a relationship. And so those guys have been vocal, if it was off-season workouts, fourth quarter program, to day one in the meeting, and then especially after practice, those two guys, they definitely come together and communicate what the expectation is, and they're pushing the group, and I'm proud of them.
How is that relationship, the pre-existing relationship, how does that help the transition coming in and really teaching a new defense to these guys?
I think at the end of the day, them knowing my heart, in order to coach someone, they need to know that you are for them. And so to know that from day one, it was exciting to just walk in the meeting room. I got there around 11 o'clock coming in from Texas, and by the end of the day, we were out here with the guys going through drills. So there's a familiarity, but they also know that there's a standard at Alabama.
You may have already touched on this, but why Alabama? And you say you already know them, you have an SEC background, but why Alabama in this first half?
I think that in the country there's not a place that you can walk into a home, a brand that you can walk into a home and be able to say that we can develop your son to reach his full potential. And along the way, we're going to win championships. That's the expectation here. That's what the standard is. And so a lot of the families that I had known previously recruiting, they knew who I was, and being at Alabama, able to obviously sell that big picture and the long-term vision.
And also, just with the early signing day, I know people are trying to get it in June. Just as a recruiter, what is your opinion on that?
At the end of the day, I think every kid is different. Every kid is at a different stage. Obviously, there's kids that grow up in this state and near here that have always had a dream of playing at Alabama. My view is that I want those kids to be able to finish out their high school career and be the type of player that their team and their coaches are expecting them to be in their community. And then this is that I know from personal experience playing in college that it's most important to be where your feet are before you take that next step.
Coach, could you talk about some of the younger guys, Pierre, Jay Sean, some of those young guys?
Absolutely. I'm excited about those young guys. I think with a new defense brings the opportunity to learn from the ground up. Everybody's learning new. Obviously, the older guys in the room have that physical presence, reps, game experience, but the young guys, I can maybe get a little bit faster along by just focusing on the basics and taking it step by step. Those two obviously coming and pushing them, and Yanze being a little bit older and already redshirted, or you want to go play. How can you find a role to cut out special teams and then roll on defense? He has the ability. It's going to be just taking those steps that maybe the older guys have already taken. And with Jay Sean, I'm really excited that he'd already been here for a couple weeks since I got here. He's young, he's excited, he cares. He sits right next to me in my position meeting room, and he wants to be great. That's why he came here, and want to see him take those steps that any young player takes to learn, one, how to function in the building and how to go about the day-to-day requirements, and then to be able to meet that on the field as well.
In terms of what Dallas and Chris Braswell did last year, how does the role of this position group this year in this defense compare to what last year was?
I think, one, we're still recruiting the same type of person. maybe how we're aligning them may change at times based on the scheme and all those things. But when I walked in, I said the standard is still the standard, and we want those type of players here at Alabama. I think the little tweaks that we'll have will just allow our guys to show maybe more of what they can do, and I'm excited for them to have that opportunity.
Situationally, can you see maybe having two guys kind of bookending out there?
Absolutely. You know, I talk about third down. Is if you win on first and second down, you earn the right to rush the passer. In my room, we're looking for those same type of guys that Alabama has had for years to continue to go do that.
Athletically for Keanu, just what impresses you most about him?
You know, I know when I was at Florida, I had recruited him to possibly be an inside guy. He has the skill set to play at the line of scrimmage and off the ball. Those are the type of guys that we're looking for that can do both, that have the physical presence in the run game as well as the pass rush ability. He has that.
6 practices in, judging from where you guys have been, it just seems on the outside a lot of players buying into what you guys are teaching. How have you seen that barometer change?
You know, it's been exciting. I think, one, you know, anytime there's a change, you came to Alabama for your individual reasons and that decision making along the way. But when you start to spend time with somebody, I believe you can know their heart, you can know what they're about, and can they bring value? That's something my dad, as a high school coach, always told me, is always seeking to add value. I think that having a little bit of a pre-existing relationship for me, but the staff going through these days in the fourth quarter program, in the weight room, in the meeting room, you have buy-in because now you're doing life together. And I think that our guys are seeing that, and I think that it's paying dividends as 6 practices in.
You just go ahead.
Based on the way that this roster was built, there's a lot of players with the body type that you coach now. What is that like, and is it a fun thing, or is it kind of like hard to get all those guys in a role, right?
Well, at the end of the day, you're trying to get the cream of the crop. You're trying to, I think our guys love to compete, but they also, there's a connectivity here that a lot of other teams don't have. I think there's a brotherhood. This football is a fraternity here. And I see that they push each other, but as coaches, there's going to be situations where we can have more guys on the field. I think they understand that, and it's exciting because then we get to go hunt together.
You said hunt. What do you think about the? Did you use the terminology wolf or whatever? Did that take a while to learn?
Well, no, because I actually, Coach Womack's dad hired me as a graduate assistant at Ole Miss to coach this exact position, and so. You know, that relationship with the Womacks has always been there, and I've become a better coach by being around both of them. I always wanted the opportunity to work for Coach Womack, and so there wasn't a lot coming in, and I literally got a call on Monday, and I was here Tuesday by 11, and a lot of the things that we did, walking out that practice, had a lot of recall, so it was exciting to be able to step right back into that.
How much familiarity did you have with Caleb DeBoer before this, and just what have you learned from him so far?
You know, I didn't have any, but Kane, I know Kane, when we got on the phone, you know, just we're people, and especially like in anything, building relationships, how much I feel for Coach and his family was easy to connect with Coach DeBoer, and that's what, you know, when you come in and those relationships really matter, and he just talked about what Alabama has always been, and his vision and wanting to be a part of that is just a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Yeah, Yanzi Pierre is a guy that we didn't get to see much last year, but what does he offer, and how exciting of a prospect is he?
You know, he's got a great get-off. He's got great pass rush ability. What I've been talking to him about is, with a great ability, how can we continue to expand what we know? And, you know, he spent a year learning a different defense. And so now he's having to relearn some things in some different terms. I'm trying to be a translator, especially being around similar systems and working for coaches under Coach Saban. And so a lot of that is just trying to get him to grasp that. And I see day by day he's getting better. And then we get new install and we find new things that are challenges for us. But I'm proud of what he's doing. He's had a great motivation to get it right, and I believe he will.
You talked about the depth at that position, not so much maybe with Yanzi, but is there certain guys where maybe you give them a look inside or like to kind of like spread things out? Does that happen a lot in the spring? Or?
Well, in the spring, obviously have a base install of who we plan to be by what we need to know by the end of going in the summer. And so as Coach Womack expands that, I envision that we'll have the guys that can get after the quarterback. We'll find a way to get them on the field.